Howdys and salutations, y'all! Sorry for the delays, we're having all sorts of weird technical things today. We're doing some internet maintenance, and so things may be just a tad spotty. Please bear with us here. Well, me anyway. Otherwise, though, I figured this has been a long week with fairly little progress. I don't think today, with where I'm at, we'd make significant more progress on the gate or any other 3D modeling for that matter. And frankly, I think I kind of jumped into this month prematurely in terms of jumping back into 3D without any sort of refresh. Or really any sort of idea of what I wanted to do. So I ended up doing basically the same thing as last time, but slightly worse, which is never great. So rather than that, we'll figure out what we're going to do for next week. But for now, I figured let's just relax, have kind of a chill drawing stream. I assume that's what my stream info says. Nope, it's still Blender. Anyway. You know, it'll just be a chill one. I'll update the stream info. It's fine. Boom. Sure. How long have I had Babby Long as a tag instead of Babylon? That's not even... Is that a thing? I hope that's not a thing. Long baby. Very tall. Well, anyway. Anyway, sure, that's a reasonable tag. I'll close that window. We'll just get that going. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens here. Definitely going to be low-key, but I realized I've got a new tablet. We made a new brush, and we didn't do anything with it, which is kind of silly of a thing to do. So let's, whoa. Well, let's maybe not have it on size 50 billion or whatever. But there's some fun stuff we should be able to do with this. Let's see. May look for some decent color palettes. Oddball Reds is an interesting one. Oddball Test. I was testing some ways of generating color palettes. Not obviously anything labeled as someone else's isn't my work. Choco Mix is not, but it's good. Salt's color palette. I'm gonna definitely do some Salt redesigns at some point. I don't like that one. I think that's just the default one. It's way too aggressive. Warm Analogous. I don't know, you could probably actually do some very pretty stuff with this. It just feels kind of mucky when it's just in a blur like that. So I'd have to do some tests with it. I like this one, but it's definitely too cool for what we need. Ooh. I didn't make this one, but it's got kind of like a nice rust thing going on. Or not rust, but like the opposite. Or not the opposite. You know, copper as it not burnishes, although you can burnish copper. But copper as it... Wow. Man, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of this, and always, like, I loved the word. What the heck was it? I don't remember. I'm going to go with exfoliates, which is wildly wrong. Anyway, copper, when it does its thing, it's cool. Oh, that's just a nice RGB. Ooh, that's a good palette. Why did I never use that one? Violet split comp. These split comp palettes, whatever method I was using to generate these, solid options. Although once again, I fall into my rut of way too many vivid colors and not enough to work with. Oh, Green Gray's V2. That's interesting. Sure, something could be done with that. Low spec, as always, providing excellent ones. Well, okay. Low spec for the record, not one person, just a website where people post color palettes. It's designed for pixel art, but it does mean you get really potent, like, well-designed, usually fairly small palettes, which are kind of nice to work with, honestly. But since I'm trying to do the Elite Four, I'm maybe gonna just go off of the color palettes they've got, because that's right. We're gonna draw some Pokemon people. Let me... right. New refs. Let's see if it'll work. Whoa, okay, it worked. It did work. I don't know how many of these we'll do or like what the end game is. I'm just having fun with it. So we're just gonna do some draws. And I'm probably gonna stick fairly... Oops. Oh, right, there's one thing I can do. I was I was drawing a Sura at some point. When was that? 'Cause I almost did that today, but I didn't. Well, that works out. Oh, no, this was for this is for a title card. So for the Ishtar Gate, I will say were some of my more creative title cards, even if the actual 3D modeling the second round wasn't great. I had a Trombone Champ one. I had, obviously, a Sonic Frontiers one, stuff like that. It was fun. But yeah, let's let's maybe find a different image for that. It's great for color paletting. Let's see. Okay, documents, art, PureRef image archive. I've got all the reference images in here that we use for PureRef. That way they're all in one place, makes things nice and easy, unless I need to pick out, a specific one. Really ought to at least cut this off by year. And we got stuff from way back when, some of that AI generated stuff. RPG, the watches from Datto, stuff we didn't even get to. I assumed Hold on, I didn't just assume. I know the Unova Elite 4 are in here. Because A, otherwise the PureRef wouldn't load. And B, I distinctly remember putting them in here. Oh, jeepers. Is it a file format that won't work? Is it like some WebM or something? Yeah. Yeah. Probably is. Oh, there's pumpkins. Those are nice. Not for right now, but they're nice. All this stuff. We should come back to that drawing style too. That's actually really nice for items and stickers and such. Real sharp. That's fine. We'll just make do. Getting better at eyeballing colors and stuff. Although really, before we get into colors, let's just throw a gray on here. This is a nice blue-gray, truthfully, but I'm going to go more towards a... Well, actually. Let's... I wonder what gray a number 2 pencil... I mean, it's got different variants depending on how you use it, so it's kind of hard to... That'll do. Not a vector layer, dagnabbit. Okay. Let's get ourselves a vector layer. Have a go at this. Y'all see that okay? Cool. Then, actually, dagnabbit. I gotta use the restroom real bad. I know we just started. I'm gonna be back in like 2 minutes. Sorry about this. But it has been a hectic day, let me tell y'all. BRB. Okay, howdies and salutations once again. We are back properly this time, hopefully, maybe. No promises. Like I said, this is going to be a low energy, low key stream. We're literally just doodling. I'm going to move that here, make it so I can actually see my reference. And yeah, let's just, let's get going on some Grimsby, because he's a fun, weird, funky character. I like Unova. Wow. It sounds so clear in my head, but trying to say it is impossible. At least the way it sounds in my head. Anyway, Unova. Unova? Not Unova. Yeah, I ain't got much in the way of brain today, but we're going to keep on plugging. Unova? Sure. For the record, the thing that's throwing me off is I feel like the duration I'm spending on the middle syllable is either too long or too short each time I say it. Can't seem to get it right to Unova. Unova? Unova. Whatever. That one, what been based on New York. You know, that one. But yeah, we're gonna do that. Let's see, let's get this on Vector Eraser and get Vector Eraser on a halfway decent size, my word. Actually, it wasn't terrible. Probably afford to do this on a... Sure. Both reasonable. Whoops, I forgot to... Yeah. Drawings. That one. There. Put it there. Cool. Anyway. Little Grims. I'm just doing pencil sketches right now. We'll see how this goes. First off, trying to think about the pose. I mean, I've got the pose as a reference here, so it'll be fairly easy, but it's still... Oh, one other thing. Hold your horses. I need to figure out why my tablet is not saving the working area. Oh yeah, there's... Yeah. Cool. Yes, that. Good. Yes. There we go. Be real nice if it did. I'm sure it's probably because I didn't delete the old tablet drivers like they said to, but dang it, that just seems like proprietary garbage. Or nonsense, rather. If there's actually a conflict, then fair enough, but feels a little weird given that I don't know that other brands do that, but maybe they do. Gotta be honest, I haven't purchased a ton of tablets. Oh yeah, that comes way further forward than his chest does. We need to put a little more swagger in that step. Fitting, because I know swagger was pretty, well, at least in my experience, it was a big move in Gen 5. Was it added Gen 5? I know Scraggy had it, and absolutely wreaked havoc on my teams with it. Not that it could knock me out, but the confusion was just exceedingly frustrating. See, and then a wonderfully foreshortened arm that's only going to kick out to about here before we get hand. And like the other arm's not even implied. Cool. Fresh layer. Zoom in on it a bit now that we kind of got ourselves a scale. Let's actually, I'm just going to go right for the outfit. We'll have some fun with it, shall we? Oh, I should do the thing I do just so I can tell which layer I'm on of making that one a little darker, or lighter, fainter. Let's see, so what is this supposed to be? Is it just a really sharp, like, back of a jack? Okay, if that's what that is, then we're really gonna lean more into like a, whoops. I got a thing, it's more of a pleat, really. I won't lean into it too far to try to stay in the spirit of things. Although, I mean, even in the other reference, it's kind of like spiked. I don't know what's going on with this outfit. It's funky. It's whatever it is, it'll work. But yeah, so we got that. We got a bit out in the front, of course. Bulges out into this cool collar thing. Yeah, this is actually a really weird outfit. Holy cow. Or maybe it's just not local to my region? I don't know. Anyway, this one should be bigger. It is still tilted away from us. If I'm not really following my original lines, I gotta follow the spirit of the pose still. Which, for the record, this is not nailing, because this, well, 2 reasons. But that backing line really ought to be more... I ended up... It's an easy thing to do when you're trying to do those alignment things, is you end up following one of the outlines rather than a center point, and so that's a little off. And by extension, all this stuff's also a little off, so we'll just have another go at that, shall we? Also, truthfully, this is probably overly foreshortened. Or rather, that side isn't foreshortened enough, this side needs to be more, but... Oh, and it's also... that's part of it. Ooh. I'm not nailing the proportions between the top and the bottom here, and it's getting real awkward. The torso's too tall. Hold on, let me think about where these need to line up. But yeah, the gap in the back does roughly, or the most inmost point does roughly line up with where his collar leads to. Ah, but this is too tall. I need less space here. Just like all around less of it. Well, that's easily handled. Wow. Sloppily handled, but we'll fix it. Again, it's a doodle day. We're not really going for skill or precision or anything like that. We're just kind of having a go at it, letting the brain. I like his pants. Those like diamond edges on the bottom are real snazzy. At least imply that the coat continues over there because I've got it billowed a little more than it probably ought to billow, but that's fine. This leg's a little long. I'd say we should lean into it, but he already kind of isn't. So let's just do the same thing we did before. Actually, hold on. Grab both layers. We do a slightly better job of that, shall we? There we go. Now that gets us a little less of the stuff we're trying to get rid of, and it makes sure we get both feet. I'm going to line up the back one. Then I'm going to pull this one a little more. Much as I like the exaggerated foot forward, the leg itself was too long, throwing my head off. This is actually a weirdly tough pose, because at the top, he's facing not quite at us, but by the bottom, like by the waist, it's basically neutral. By the back, we're more behind him. Yeesh. Yeah. Gonna have to put a little more thought into that. just trying to keep that button as a reference point. I guess the point is that the pants leg is more in front here, isn't it? Like, really and truly. Like, maybe not at the start, but like, whoa. Back to pencil, please. Thank you. But like right there, it like falls off immediately. And this drapes a little more aggressively. That can actually we can just add a third pleat in there. And I don't know what he's got going on with this outfit, but it's sure something. Anyway. Not a lot to do with this arm, truthfully. And yeah, we can try to capture the elbow a little bit, but really it's just hyper foreshortened. He's got quite a cuff on there. Holy moly. And this hand kind of got a trapezoid thing going with it. Yeesh. Let's get those a little better. Actually arcs in on the bottom, don't it? Okay. Yeah, we'll add a little more detail to those, but they're, you know, hands aren't really the scariest thing in the world. You break them down into their basic geometric shapes, anyway. Okay, hold on. I figured out part of the reason. Okay. The top was feeling too wide because, yeah, it was a foreshortening issue. It's always a foreshortening issue, but it was literally, I wasn't tilting it. So I was doing this, and it would be like that, when really it should be like this. Neither of those precisely, but you'll see. I'm fairly confident I'm about to get it right. Y'all know when you finally like actually identify what's wrong with something and you're like, oh, okay. It's so much better. Even once you haven't fixed it, you're just like, okay, got it. It's nice. Because it feels like a victory just for figuring out what's wrong. And then, you know, sometimes you're wrong, you're actually wrong and that wasn't the issue and it is still crushing. But, you know, that's how it goes. Let's see, one of these, it looks like it's just a little scuffed up. But the other one, they actually make it look like they're intentional spikes. I kind of like the scuffed up version more. Lean into it a little bit. But no matter. You know, there is one thing I actually quite like about this design. The hair really leans into the center line, which makes it easy to find the center line. It's a little off center, don't get me wrong. That's a clever way to make a fairly smug looking eye without actually needing all that much detail. Is just, I guess, not even the eye. I guess maybe the eye shadow or the eyebrow shadow. One of the two. Really getting you, it's basically showing the eyebrow angle, but still getting like the actual eyelid in here being a definitive part too. Let's see. I'm sure some of y'all, you know, if anyone was watching the VOD, are probably thinking, shouldn't you, you know, at least outline the face first, figure out proportions like that, you know. And beep, beep, beep. Face. And yeah, that can be done. But, oh, well, there wouldn't be that much hair on the back if there's also the ponytail going on. But the point is, though, one needs a grand collar. Anyway, the point is that with this one, I'm testing. I've got just the front alignment line, and I'm basically trying to go off of that for this one. Since I've got the reference, I can catch any major proportions issues a little quicker because they'll be really obvious. I hope. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Those are still pretty bad, but when we get the ear in there, we'll see. It's not as bad as it looked. It's just tilted wrong. I like Valkyrie hair. And leaning into the knowing tilt does kind of add to the sneeriness, to be fair. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Grimsby. I just, Unova was my first Elite Four, and I had a right tough time of it. Especially on subsequent playthrough, like run-throughs when they're higher level. Ooh, boy. My strategy was so, like fighting tooth and nail and kind of flying by the seat of my pants to keep going. Because, like, I don't know, I'd have, like, half my team was, like, legendaries like Victini and Reshiram. Because, of course it was. I was a young child, and they were cool. The other half, my superior was really awesome. But you see, the rest of my team kind of wasn't. And so it was a lot of balancing having one Pokemon out so that I could spam revives and heals and like just barely make it through. Like revive someone so that who would have enough HP to take 2 hits so that I could revive and heal the other Pokemon that I actually needed to get out. And then get off one more and like have that Pokemon land an important hit against this one and then repeat for every single an enemy Pokemon. It was it was so bad, but it was fun. That was a proper challenge. Alder was a proper challenge for me too. But that's part of the joy of it. Hmm. Just trying to think. Badoo badoo. Let's see. Just trying to brain a little bit, figure out what to do. Because I'll be honest, hey, this pencil is satisfying to work with, but I'm not really in any state to actually do proper drawings right now mentally. Something I need to practice and get better at. Okay, well, we'll do some other doodles, I suppose. I want to at least have another go at it, so not necessarily a Grimsby. Well, I do love all the Elite Four on this one, because there were a lot of fun ones. Good crew all around. But we'll put them away for now. Yeah. Maybe we'll just do some mindless doodles, see what happens. Maybe use a slightly darker gray. I feel like it ends up washed out because of the lightness. May still, because it's not that dark of a mark, but we'll see. Still trying to get the hang of this brush that we made. I don't know, what's something worth doodling? I'm not crazy hard. I'm gonna go dig out my old sketchbook and see if some of the sketches I did in it can translate digitally, which shouldn't take long. My sketchbook is already in my hands. Let's see, what's a good one? Let's see. I'm just making these sounds again, I realize. I promise I am actually working towards something at the moment. That's just a sketch of a hallway. More importantly, it's a sketch of my hallway. I don't want to give that away. Not that I think it would successfully dox me in any way, shape, or form. Those are like shadow studies. I'm not sure that recreating them digitally would be much good. I guess I could try this, Millennia character I drew a while back. See if I can recreate it. Proportions are a little funky. I was trying some stuff, but we'll give it a shot. Or lean into the pose a little more, I suppose. It's gonna be more one leg like this and one leg like that. Nah. It was really 2 head heights tall, this one. I'm still on eraser, aren't I? Pencil. Well, 2 head heights plus the head. Suppose I should clarify. It was still on a slightly different face style. I guess not what I'm fully opposed to. Anyway, we've sort of got torso going on here. Like that. The hips. Which again, it's a fairly static pose. I was more testing the style out than the actual pose. Let's see. Again, that's not really. There we go, more in the center. Let's try to fix that before we get too far into it. Then face. I'll just. It's roughing it in. We'll throw a new layer on, make this one a little less there, and we'll just keep on going. Let's see. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. I'll admit, I don't have the most insightful narration today. I apologize for that. I'm realizing exactly how tired I am, honestly. Hadn't quite put it together, but this is definitely giving it away. Yeah, normally I don't shy away from drawing hands, but in this one it actually did make sense to have her hands in the pockets, so. I can do a little better. Taper this. Anyway, had to do something similar on this side. He's got kind of a leather jacket thing going, sorta. This is a character who I want to be a D&D NPC for the record. I should clarify. I'm still working out full backstory details and everything, because like every few months I'm like, oh, I've got a new idea that would be good for her, but it would sort of change what she's doing too, so. Basically, and this is definitely like not fantasy era wear, but funny enough, designing armor is hard, so haven't done it fully with her yet. And in the interim, I can just draw her wearing modern day clothes, because frankly, I need some practice learning what modern day clothes are. My style is not exactly, like, it's not dated, it's just non-existent. I don't have much in the way of style, which means it's hard to design stuff for characters, so I'd actually like to have a little better sense of it. That's a little too exaggerated there. I'm trying a slightly more angular thing for joints. But if you go too far, it stops looking even like plausibly human. Which again, for kind of chibi-ish style, you can kind of still get away with that, but we'll get to the boots later. They're not that important. Evidence that they exist. Body's ended up a little taller than it was in the original drawing. Oh well. Okay. And let's see, we were still kind of on a variant of this style. I was trying something with really dark eyes. That's kind of the style. Which honestly, I could go back to, or at least try to adapt some of that. Kind of a fun style, really. Looking for something a little grouchier. I guess maybe pouty's the word. I don't like the word pouty. It feels like it trivializes whatever the character's actually angry about. And you know, maybe that's the right case for Moenia, but I don't fully know yet, so I don't want to mess with that. It isn't obvious. I have kind of a default hairstyle when it comes to how it works around the ear. I ought to get some more variants on that in my characters too, but no matter. Nadia's is definitely different. This is just Moenia, whose hair is generally sharper. I guess I should explain a little bit about this character. This is one of two, well, half tiefling, half drow, which I know is like the most like angsty character combo. Oh no, they're gonna be like, you know, Mary Sue type angst. No, it's. I mean, I guess they're not angsty characters. Moenia may have a little angst, but it's not like I want to burn the world down type. Basically, they're half sisters. Nadia, who I'm not currently drawing, was some potential heir to some tiefling family. Raised together with the point of Moenia being her bodyguard, essentially, was how they treated it. And then a series of coups underworld. And one way or the other, they ended up stuck on the surface. And so they're trying to make the most of it. Nadia's actually done pretty well, trying to make something of a life. and just move away from all the inheritance stuff. But Moenia feels like her sister got cheated and that she failed to protect her, and so she's still a little hung up on trying to get back. And gets a little fed up when when Nadia isn't quite as enthusiastic about it. Her name is based on the Latin word for wall, for the record, because I'm a nerd. And Latin makes everything sound cooler, but actually understanding Latin makes you realize that a lot of stuff named in Latin just sounds kind of dumb. Like people lean into it, and you're like, oh, it just sounds pretentious. So jeepers, I didn't line any of this up right. I have a reference image. Gee, how have I messed this up so bad? Let's see, it's just like some text on the shirt or something. Actually, it's probably the kind of shirt that you see in those internet ads where you definitely shouldn't buy. This is just auto-generated it from whatever you posted or whatever your search history is or whatever. It's a lot of whatever's per sentence there. Probably had to cut those numbers down back a little bit. This was okay. I like that pen. Not what we need right now. Tried ballpoint. I'll admit it's a weird one. Let's go for a slightly smaller variant and just see what we can do. We'll clean up, new layer too, obviously. I say obviously, but I almost forgot to do it. I guess we can pop those out of the way too, because they're not helping. Okay, let's try to clean up some of the proportions in here, shall we? And I'll have to think, I actually have to be thoughtful about my line weight with this pen. No, I'm gonna have to be careful. Definitely ought to have like padded shoulders, right? That would totally be her jam. And be like a little bit too big. Or yeah, I really wanted to. Okay, if I want it to be too big, then I need to make it like kind of baggy in this section. Like not in the way that it looks like a cuff. I think. I haven't looked at leather in a while as a reference. And this is obviously all out of whack. I didn't proportion it right at all. First off, shoulder ought to be a little more horizontal with this pose, honestly. Yeah, she's being standoffish a bit, but like not that much. Okay. I'll be honest, this new tablet has been really easy to adapt to, and I do genuinely quite like this pressure sensitivity and tilt sensitivity we've got going. Not so much of it on this brush. Well, actually, if there's tilt sensitivity on this brush, it's a little backwards, methinks, but no matter. Let's see. Oh yeah, if I want this breeze to be consistent, this probably ought to tilt in a little more too. That's fine. The inside really ought to go more into the same place there. So there's a lot less of the actual jacket visible. There is still going to be some of that arm though. Especially if it's in the pocket over there somewhere. Probably be able to see like the pocket bulge in here if we're being honest, but we won't mess with that too much right now. There we go. Accidentally hitting that toggle once. For the record, I'm hitting P by accident, which does take me from eraser to pen. But normally I want pencil, and so you have to hit it again to go to pencil. But then it doesn't cycle eraser back in, it then just cycles between pen and pencil, because that's what it's actually linking you to. But that messes with my brain, so I'm like, eraser, pen, pencil. Oh crud! I wanted pen. Hit it twice to get through eraser, and I'm back on pencil. And just anyway, this is sleepy brain. And whoo boy, is it a sleepy brain. Let's see. That also means that I need text on the shirt. There we go. Okay, yeah, hold on. That's still just going to be big shoulder, so that's mostly solvable, but... Okay. Still off. It's still not quite right, but mainly bottom of the shirt feels wrong. More of the jacket. Yeah, let's remove that pocket thing for now. It'll do. At least it's lined up in a way that makes some amount of sense with this, even though they don't have to line up, but it still kind of works. Yeah. It won't make the head quite as tall next time. And then this, holy cow. Like, yeah, let's maybe not go quite all in on that. Yeesh. There we go. I do like this super angular calf thing, though. That's something I want to experiment with more. In fact, a more angular approach to joints in general is something I actually kind of want to do. I want to lean into them more. So even the original sketch didn't do a great job on the boots, so I'm not going to waste too much time on them. Other than need to make it clear that the ground line is there and this is vanishing. Okay, we'll fix that. All right, we'll do parallel feet. It's a stylized look. I'm not going to worry so much about it not being the most dynamic pose in the world. I mean, it's not like Grimsby was exactly doing much better in the actual sprite, and that's like professional work, so. Anywho, we'll leave it at that. It's a lot better than the old ones. It does still look like this one's too far back to support what's going on up here, so we'll try to adjust this a little bit. First off, head will be lower down. Second off, like neck will be shorter and head will be a little further to the right. Still, don't get me wrong, still leaning left, but just not as aggressively. I'm gonna put away the background one for now, just for now. How did I do that? I sort of had the center line in mind already, which is a smart thing to do when I drew it the first time. Should have done that this second time. Anyway. It's hard to lean into this in a way that looks like annoyed without looking like they're just chewing. We'll start with that. Not a bad look for her. Let me get the hairline. Yeah, let me get the hairline before I deal with eyebrows. Yeah, I think that's a decent spot for the ear, truthfully. Actually, yeah, if we're thinking about the breeze that's affecting the coat, this still looks like she's leaning forward into it for some reason. But yeah, we can do some leg tweaks if we need to. But let's actually like have the hair match, shall we? And I realize I'm doing all this on like a single layer, which is not ideal. It's always at least one that's competing. Despite everything, that hair still just won't go along with everything else. Just fine. Let's try to get these to match. Feels like the part is too far to the right. Probably because it is, if I look at my actual reference. And thus the whole hairline ends up a little low. A little cleanup on that. And we'll leave that one. And of course, wouldn't be her without her eyebrows. Sorry, I hit the wrong hotkey. It's actually just trying to undo twice. We'll go with simpler horns for now. Yeah, I can tell the weight's not balanced right, but no, it's oh right, of course. That one may still refuse to go with the crowd. It'll at least bend in the right direction. There we go. That looks better. Honestly. Should have a point, but not quite as much as it had. Come on, down a... Had my wrist caught. There we go. Sure, there's something snarky written on this shirt. I'll have to think up good shirts for her. Let me test this one a lot. Yeah, so you could actually get decent shading with this. Real delicate. Yeah, no, let's try that again, shall we? Just trying to think about exactly the direction fabric would be going. Let's see. We're just not going to talk about the boots. There we go, that's better. Yeah, it's just not really a good way to get that one light enough, but that's okay. A ton of shade gradients on this, but that's okay. Oh, it's being on the tilt where it's easier to color with also makes the line weight less, and so it gets really scratchy. Okay, we can work with it. I do that thing that people do. I don't know. Trying to think of the shadows that would help it give it a little more character, but not sure they're entirely working in this style. Oh well. Almost looks more like a Batman mask like that. That's not exactly right. I can make this doodle layer a little lighter. I want to have another go at this part. I am enjoying the new soundtrack. Like the new music we got going, I'm liking it. If we can't just clean up around the edges and do a slightly lighter go for those. Anyway, yeah, it's a funky doodly style, but it's, at least for the top half, it's pretty good. And the legs are interesting. They're just not lined up right with the rest of everything. Mainly because I think the shirt is too long, or the whole shirt section is. Or maybe. Now this is a silly thought. But since it's something we can test, yeah, no, that definitely also looks wrong. That actually kind of works. Like, obviously not great, but it's a little better. Just wish I could figure out what exactly is off about the shirt. What's not working with it? Oh, I think it is too long. I just can't figure out how to fix that. What's making it too long? Is it actual length, or is it position relative to other things in the drawing, or what? Because if I try literally just shortening it, does that solve the problem? Make sure I've got both layers going when I do this. Actually, yeah, that does help. Maybe it was literally just too long. I don't like this look with the jacket, too. That works. See. Whoops, let's make it a little smaller so that we can get just the line we're trying to go after. Cool. Anyway, yeah. Oh, and yeah. Yeah, this pen could use some tweaks, but it's actually not terrible. Not terrible for shading either. It really ought to, in particular, if I want to do a shading with it, I need to invert um, the tilt options. Always shade with this, see how that works. We could do an alternate shading, since we've got multiple layers to work with. Yeah. Let's have another go at it. Let's see. Keep in mind that this one really only gets so dark on one layer. Okay. Let me get some, like, sort of flat colors in for each part of it as a start. Not exactly flats in the traditional sense, but at least helping me get a gauge of what's going to be dark and what's going to be light. Not all that worried about staying within the lines. We'll try to do it at least a little bit. Skin tone. A lot more in the way of commentary. I guess I could mention what they were going to do in one D&D campaign that unfortunately never got there. Is I was going to have these two be tavern. Well, one's the tavern keeper, Nadia, who's actually fitting right into it and having a good time, and one's Moenia, who's suspicious of anyone who tries to approach her sister. And also initially very like aggressive towards anyone who wanders in, but is worried that there's some bad folks who are messing with her sister that her sister wouldn't mention, and so she'll eventually, try to, once she trusts the adventuring party, assuming that ever comes to pass, which with D&D not a given. But if they can win her trust, then she'll ask for their help on that, which I think would be a fun little side mission. But of course, I am overly fond of my own characters, as I think most people tend to be. So, who knows? Maybe it'd be horribly tedious. Hold on. I just keep it on often. And just keep going over it again. Yeah, okay, that's what I want for this part. I don't necessarily want the cluster of dark pixels. I just want more of the light ones. The dark pixels are like a guaranteed side effect of that, then so be it. I don't think they have to be. Maybe the issue is there's already a whole bunch in there. Yeah, that was going to be jarring regardless. Well, we can lean into it a little bit in that part at least. It kind of works. That one's a little wrong, but it's fine. There we go. You can get a little smoother shading with that one, but I also like the really bold eyebrows and shirt designs, so that kind of works. Whoops. Really don't want to mess with that. I guess we can mess with it from this side. Some wrinkles in the shirt. Anyway, here did this. I don't know. This one's got a nice, smooth, like kind of not Prismacolor, but there is a markery feel to it, which I suppose makes sense. This one's definitely a little different, but I'm kind of happy with the result. Anyway, yeah, Moenia. I like Moenia as a character. Need to find more stuff to do with her. Like in the actual campaign, though. There's kind of the challenge. Well, I'll be honest. I can tell that I'm fading. I can tell that the quality would probably drop from here, but I also am like a little more warmed up, and this was ultimately actually kind of an insightful day. So glad we streamed. Glad that y'all popped by. If anyone did, appreciate y'all putting up with my weirdness today, and hope to see y'all in the next one. Have a good one. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time of day or night it may be. I hope that it goes well. See y'all on the flip side.